Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Happy August 1st.
I don't know how I feel about the August 1st part, but I'm happy about anything, so we'll make it work.
Yeah. I
We'll
forgot to
make
put
this
my
shift
earrings
work.
on.
Ooh, there's your pop of color.
My pop of color. Look how different just like popping the earrings on. It just,
I like the red dragon. That's what I see suddenly.
oh, I like that.
Yeah, I do. And now we know dragons and angels. Yeah,
Yes.
that was immediate. I was like, whoa,
That was weird.
very interesting.
So before I forget, today's the last day that you can enter the Fly Girl 3-month earring club of the month subscription. So if you
I'm in.
I'll share. I know you are. Yay.
Gotta jazz up those ears.
The original Fly Girls from the Fly Retreat got a little insider pre-launch. So everybody else that's on the wait list will get the pre-launch link today in an email after I announce the winner of someone that will get 3 sets of earrings once a month delivered to their doorstep for nothing, just for entering to win.
To win.
So
That is
free
a
fun
nice
earrings.
prize.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people, wasn't even planning about talking about this, but it kind of goes with what we're doing today because I know a lot of people are like, earrings. Why is she talking about earrings? Why is she doing an earring thing? What is this? The earrings for me are about a reminder to listen. When I put my earrings in, it reminds me I need to listen. I need to listen to spirit. I need to listen to angels. I need to listen to my heart. I need to listen to my soul. I also do need to listen to my head, even though sometimes, you know, I stay up there a little too long. But it's about listening, and that kind of goes hand in hand with today's topic, which is about receiving. Are you willing
Absolutely.
to receive?
Mhm.
So,
You just
that's
said
what
something
we're
that
talking.
actually is not necessarily our path. I think I hear an echo in me, but so I'm
I'm not hearing it.
echoing. Okay, well, I'm echoing myself. Just something happened to me this morning when you said listen to your head, and we know that our thoughts are based on so much more our past experiences and issues and traumas and all kinds of things. They're not always reliable, but they're really important to listen to because I heard something this morning in my own thoughts and I was like, what are you thinking? It was just flowing through there and I happened to be aware and caught it. And I went, oh, we got to do something with that. So the thoughts really are important. It's not, doesn't
They
mean that we
are.
follow them,
Right.
but we do need to listen to them because otherwise we're not aware of what we need to even shift.
The thoughts are part of the receiving,
Hmm.
right? Like you said, if we're listening and we hear these beautiful thoughts coming through, these beautiful ideas,
Hmm.
are you willing to receive that idea that's coming through? And are you willing to take it to the next step?
Hmm.
So all of this, everything we talk about really goes hand in hand. There's no magic pill. There's no do this one step and everything's going to be amazing. It's everything lining up and getting into
Yes.
alignment with all of it.
And practicing it, and how fun to have the earrings, which I love anyway. And it brings joy and raises the vibration and just brings fun. We were just talking about um, when you reminded everyone about the connection today, um, you didn't realize the picture was of your grandchildren. You're like, wait, what is that?
I'm like, wait, I didn't put that there. Why is that there?
And I said, oh, I just thought it was because, yeah, you're reminding us to have fun, play, because I hear that all the time as a channel message to play. And you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then
So,
when I
like,
looked at, yeah. And then when I looked at it, I was like, think about how willing children are to receive what comes their way.
mhm.
They don't hold back from
Nope.
receiving.
Well, they don't only not hold back, they also share in complete innocence.
Yes.
So they receive and then follow that stream. How many
Yeah.
times we're like, oh, do you have an imaginary friend? Oh, you're right.
Right. But
Mm.
the imaginary friend, might not be so imaginary.
Well, that's the
But
thing. I'm
yeah.
looking just because right now I'm not seeing anything and it says zero reach on my. I hope that's not true.
Yeah, I hope that's not true too. Um
Now I'm not seeing anything and it says zero.
I did the same thing. I accidentally Clicked on it.
Yeah, it's very odd. Hmm.
There's one.
Okay.
I didn't know that you can click on this. Hey, any of you people that go live, if you actually click on the eye that's on the top corner on your StreamYard, it'll tell you who's watching in what group. So we're
Okay, so that
actually in 3 different places today.
okay, so as long as it's going out, because all of a sudden I got nervous because it said 0 reached, and I'm like, I don't wanna.
I would always go on my phone to check, but now that I know I can do this, so yeah, people are coming in. If you're with
Okay.
us, guys, join in, say hello, say good morning. Let us know where you're from. And there is a link. StreamYard likes permission to use your name. So you can just click on that link and I think it just says, can we use your name and your profile thingy and just click yes. And then that way we know who we're speaking to instead of just saying, hey, Facebook user, thanks for being with us today. Um, so we have
Okay, so that's
Claudia's with
good.
us and Carla is with us. Good morning, ladies. Stacy says morning
Awesome.
and blessings all. Thank you. Blessings right back to you.
I will
And then we have
receive and
Denise that
send.
just popped on and said hello.
Awesome.
So
Okay, as long as we're
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're good. We're streaming. We
we're
got this.
streaming.
Yeah, they're
We're
they're
streaming.
slowly making their way to the page. Um, so yeah, let's go back to our topic of discussion about receiving. And there's so much talk about ask, believe, receive, right? And how do we do that? And so if we're going by steps, step 1 is to ask for what it is that you want, ask for what it
Mhm.
is that you need. And we have this tendency to be in the asking mode continuously. So we're asking, we're asking, we're asking, we're asking, and we're asking. But are you willing to receive? And what does that mean? And how do we do that graciously? And how do we get out of our own way to
Mm.
receive?
I'm gonna be completely honest. I actually do not feel that those steps are in the right order.
I agree.
And I can say that now. And before I was like, oh, I don't want to go against anyone who said it, who's put it
Right?
out, because
So
they're
true.
the guru. You're the guru of you. I'm the
Yeah.
guru of me. Whoever is listening is the guru of themselves. And I believe that the space we talk about holding space for people, right? We need to hold space for ourselves. And the holding space for myself is being in the receiving mode before I even ask. See, I think that's the issue. Like we're asking, and then, well, will you? Will you not? Like, can I have that, please? And there's already this belief. Well, there's a 50-50 shot, right? Or sometimes it might be 80-20 or 90-10 that you don't believe it's going to come,
Right.
right? It's not 50-50. It could be literally 5%. So
Yeah.
if you're in a fear-based place, this is
You're
my
not believing.
you're not believing, right? If you're in a very hyped, high vibe, I can do anything. We all have had those moments, right? And then you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this worked out. Of course it worked out. Because you were already in that receiving space instead of, oh, please, Lord, let this, please, 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 right? And you're in that. Not to say
You're
there's
in
anything wrong with being on your knees, because on your knees is a good place too
Well, it's a
sometimes.
surrender. If you're on your knees for a surrender, but if
Yes,
you're on your knees begging and not
yes,
thinking that you can get there,
exactly.
you're not believing. So I love that idea. I think everybody here listening, let's start a new trend and let's go against the grain of what society has built with the whole ask, believe, receive. And let's switch that. Let's start with believing. Believe in what you want so deeply.
That you're willing
Live
to
in that
receive it.
moment that is already here.
Mhm.
Believe that it is here because the future is now. Believe that what you want is here.
Yes.
Then ask. But if you already believe it, you don't even have to ask,
Mhm.
right?
It's more of a conversation. Like the truth is, if you believe and you're in a receiving mode, then it's a conversation that has already been established, but now you're opening the lines of talking about it, right? Like, oh my gosh, like I say, when I pray, I don't ask, I thank. I start with gratitude. Thank you for whatever it is that I'm let's put asking to receive. So, whenever you say thank you for something, you're handing me something, a deck of cards, and I say thank you, I know I'm receiving it.
Right.
I know, right? That's why I said thank you. So by praying, I say thank you first, so that I kind of like bypass my humanness of will I, will it, will it not?
Yeah, you said something, you said the thank you, and that made me think of two things. One, the thank you and the gratitude and the appreciation for it all reminds me of my soul forecast on YouTube because it's August 1st. So the first of every month that goes on, it's a one card reading, just for something to focus on for the month. And not going to get into that, but it does talk about that topic because really that state of being, that gratitude is where you're going to get the energy and the momentum to keep you moving forward. But when we say thank you, are we just saying thank you?
Hmm.
Or, right? Because a lot of times it's just an automatic. Here's your pen. Oh, thanks. But are you really feeling that gratitude? You have to take that saying something
Mm,
and bring that energy inward and really feel what that's about. Like,
mhm,
have you ever stood outside and just looked around at the beauty that is outside and took that in and said, wow, this is really beautiful,
mhm.
and feel that beauty within? And that is the energy that is really going to change the frequency of where you are to bring in more of what it is that you are seeking.
Well, that brings in, and we've talked about this many times, that's a perfect example of awareness, you know, really being aware. And those moments, I've had many of those, more so in my life now that I'm practicing that, where you're just somewhere and you're like, this is okay, this sounds silly, but I woke up the other morning, well, because I've had pain because of this, the gallstones and all the things, right? And I woke up the other morning last week with just no pain. It was the perfect temperature in the room. The dog, my husband had left for work, the dog snoring behind me. It was just a moment, like a split second of a moment
Mhm,
that my thought was, this is a perfect moment. It's
mhm.
a perfect moment. Everything about this, from my pillow to the position I was in to being pain free, because we don't recognize that so many times, right? Until you
Yeah,
have pain. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want this moment to go by without recognizing it. I don't need to do anything. I don't need to perform anything. I don't need to ask anything. I don't need to receive it. It was just a moment of being, a complete awareness that this is a glorious moment. Nothing special. I didn't receive an award. I didn't make money. It was just a moment, right? But the
yeah.
more of those moments of being, practicing being aware of exactly where we are, what's being handed to us, thank you for that pen, or whatever it might be, the awareness is the key to really being present. So we're not living in the future. We're not living in the past. We're living in the now and the now and the now and the now again. And that leads to staying in that receiving mode and
Yes.
staying in that believing mode.
And just allowing the good things to come your way. I remember when I first started my whole spiritual journey that I recognized that, like, even though good things came my way, I was I've lived a very blessed life. There's no doubt about that. I've definitely had my share of trying moments, but um, I realized I was living in a state of being afraid of receiving good things, even just nice things from people,
Mhm.
because I had this mentality of the whole balance, right? So if you accept something and it's good, what's the next thing that's going to happen? Oh, something bad's going to happen. So I
It's
lived in
a
this
shoe
fear.
drop. It's a
Yeah.
shoe drop. I always that's something I always think about. Like I had to work at releasing that. I lived that way. I lived in the shoe drop mentality. I can't be too happy about this because there needs to be a balance, and I'm going to be really sad about whatever's coming next. And then just wiped out the complete gratitude and moment of
Hmm.
happiness.
And what I found, and I know you found the same thing, is that when I finally was able to fully release that, and it took time, it wasn't just a matter of flipping a switch, but it
No.
took time,
Mhm.
more good things started coming my way.
Absolutely.
Like, I just got fully animated,
Mhm.
full body chills because, I was open to receiving. And so when every day beautiful things come my way throughout the day, and I'm just a consistent thank you, angels.
Mhm.
Thank you, spirit. Thank you, source. Thank you, God. Thank you. Obviously I thank the person if it came from a person, but I also thank the universe, my higher
Hmm.
power, whatever your belief system is. I thank them because that's where it's coming from. And when you can
Absolutely.
fully open yourself up to receiving from an outside source and understanding that you are not the one really doing it all. None of us are doing it all by ourselves. There's
Hmm.
there's divine forces out there that are guiding us and holding us and showing us the breadcrumbs along the way. And it's about seeing those breadcrumbs. And when we ask and we're open to receive, it may not come to us all in one big lump sum. It's going to come to us in those breadcrumbs.
It's
And if
going to
we,
come to us and how we can receive it too.
yeah. And
Because if we're
sometimes,
in that, yeah,
yeah,
if we're in that shoe drop mentality, we're gonna think about it, and we both live that. You're in great fear. There's a fear, right? So we're always being protected by our guides, our angels, our higher power, our God, however you're comfortable in going there. And so if you're living in a greater fear, they're going to protect you and not throw all this at you at once because you think you're asking for this, right? But if you already have this great fear that I receive something good, something bad's going to happen, that just doesn't disappear without the work. So we're being protected and we're not getting everything that we're asking for because what's going to also be increased? The fear,
yeah,
right? Because shadow and light come together. There's no one and the other. So they expand together. So with that, if we're still a lot in that shadow side, we're going to have more fear.
exactly. And what are you asking for though? I think that's the bigger question. What are you asking for? Is your ask coming from a space of lack?
Mm.
If you're coming from a space of lack, guess what? You've already put a roadblock up before that ask has even gone out.
Mhm.
So it's about changing the narrative. It's about switching the way we talk to ourselves and how we ask.
Absolutely. Oh, we got lots of comments here.
I see that. Stacy says, when you know everything is I'm going to pop this up here. When
Mhm.
you know everything is a blessing and all connected to oneness with us, hard not to feel the gratitude. Oh my gosh, totally. Hit the nail on the head. My husband and I, we wake up every morning and say, God, don't pinch me. I don't want to wake up because we are just really living in the vortex of our blessings. And it's such a beautiful place.
And then you receive more because you're
Mhm.
ready. Because if you want to say universe, God knows you can handle it because you're like, no, I got a good space. Come on, I'm happy. I can take more. I have no fear and give me more.
Yeah, totally. Um, totally. That was like so Valley Girl.
Totally.
Totally, for
Totally 80s
sure. I just
showing her.
received a manicure. I think I'm aging myself. Um,
I'm
I
right there.
this popped up. Yes, I don't know who the Facebook user is, but if you give StreamYard your permission to use your name, we can address you. But I remember this popped up when we were talking about the shoe drop syndrome. And so I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that can totally relate to that.
Mm.
Claudia says, same for me when I stop micromanaging my life. That's a really good way to term that, right? Micromanaging ourselves.
Letting others have the reins.
Yeah. Let's see. Carla says that I took in a baby stray kitten. He was so scared and skinny, and I was holding him on my bed, and I felt footsteps all around me. I said, "Thank you, angels."
Aww.
Aww. That was so sweet of you, one, to rescue the kitten, but look what the kitten gave you, right?
Hmm.
Because when we give, we receive. We don't give to receive, but when we do give, we do receive back in bountiful ways, sometimes in unrecognizable ways. But it's through that recognition that we can grow.
And animals I have received this message more than once, are a beautiful bridge to our angels.
Yeah.
We sometimes we're blocked ourselves, but we have this great love. It doesn't mean if you don't love animals, you don't have angels. It does not mean that. But many people who maybe have a block of receiving messages have no problem cuddling, talking to their animals, right? Loving them unconditionally, and they are a bridge. So remember that. So as you speak to your animals, um, you're also speaking to your angels.
Yeah, animals are so connected to spirit. It's incredible.
It
It really
flips
is.
Matt out now because recently now he's like
Yeah.
listening to me more. We'll be talking on the couch, our couch is upstairs, and Gracie will be sitting because when I meditate, what I receive, all of a sudden, I don't see what Gracie sees,
Yeah.
but she'll look to a certain point of the room as I'm receiving. I'm like, we are like in tandem. So she visually is picking up something that I may not be. And so we'll be sitting on the couch talking, and all of a sudden it makes Matt nuts. All of a sudden, Gracie will look and she'll just be like totally zoned in. He's like, she's doing it again. I'm like, mhm. It's the best.
I love it.
Therapy dogs, yeah, definitely. My Kobe could have been actually my Kobe was a therapy dog. She just was for my entire family, just not my. I said she could have been in hospitals. She would have been a beautiful addition, but she was just meant to be a therapy dog for my family, for all four
Yeah.
of us. Absolutely, very special.
I think it's important to realize too that the breadcrumbs can come in waves, I should say, especially if you're traveling on your light stream. And we are the ocean, right? And that light stream is traveling with the water on the waves. That they can come through what we're receiving can come through in ways of like the downloads or inspiration. When those ideas just pop in your head,
Hmm.
that's an idea that's coming from spirit. And if you're open to receiving it and then you follow through with the idea, see, it's important to have the follow through
Hmm.
and to act upon it. We can't just sit in our chair and say, I'd like $1 million, please, and hope that it's just going to show up with a check in the mail.
Plop.
Yeah, like that would be amazing, right? We would all have no money worries if that were the case. But then again, yes, we would. My dad would always say, yeah, I'm not going to go there right now. Um
I know
I
where you're
might
going.
offend somebody and I don't want to do that.
I know what you're talking about. Like all the different issues and the problems come. It's all relative to what you have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It's all
Okay.
relative.
But the idea is about to match your vibration. And the vibration from the universe is going to match where you're at. So if you're in the asking mode, and you're not so much in the receiving mode, if you're not fully open to receive, the universe is going to hear that and they're going to match that. And not being fully open to receive comes from the way that you're asking.
Hmm.
So if you're saying, I need more money, you're automatically coming from a space of lack because you're
Hmm.
saying, I don't have enough.
Hmm.
If you come from a space of, I know I'll be provided for, or I know I am being provided for, I should say,
Or I will always be. So that's not wrong.
I
Yeah.
always am,
Hmm.
right? It's about changing that narrative and opening that space for a different frequency to come in through your light stream.
And you said something very important, and I got permission from one of my clients to share this story. She's my youngest client and been my client for a few years. And I said, oh my God, it was like the perfect example of this. And a couple months back, she was in a job and she's in transition. Um, and she didn't want to be in this job any longer. It wasn't fulfilling her. It was making her very unhappy. People were making her unhappy. She wanted to be recognized for the good work that she did. She was angry it wasn't happening, and she's like, I don't want to be here anymore. And I need a new job, right? I need a new job. And I knew immediately that she needed to find out what was happening at her job before she moved on. Because I've had many clients that this happens. Like, I need to get a new job, and they chase their tails. They send out a million resumes, right? Because they miss. We do this. It's not them. It's me too. All of us. But we miss the opportunity to learn where we are. Otherwise, we just bring everything with us, right? So it's like, okay, we can get a new job, just like getting a new relationship. We ask for it, and sometimes it doesn't come when we want it. But we have to ask why. So she's unbelievable. She's wise beyond her years. And she was open to me saying, well, you know, you're meant to be where you are right now and you will get a new job. But do you think we want to look at what's going on here and why you're not receiving what you need and why you're not, what's happening with your language, what's happening, what you're asking? And she was asking, right? She was in the asking mode, not the receiving mode. And so we worked at that, and she stayed where she was. And she looked at what was going on, and she shifted herself to become happy in where she was, knowing she
Mhm,
wasn't going to stay. She knew that, but it was no longer out of desperation asking for a
mhm.
new job, right? Different energy, different frequency, different vibration. And just recently, when she went to go put in her 2 weeks notice for to leave this job, she not only had a job fall into her lap, like fall, they reached out to her and invited her in and to mentor her and to offer her all these other things. But her own job that she was leaving was about ready to, and they told her to advance her to the next level because they saw her change so immensely in her position. They couldn't believe the change that she has gone through. Right.
Mhm.
So that's the difference between her asking, I need this, this is bad, I got to get out. Right.
In this frequency.
In this frequency, to
Mhm.
shifting things along the way in herself and then being in the receiving.
Of
The
this
universe
frequency.
knows. Yeah, the universe knows what she wanted. She made it
Mhm.
clear she wasn't happy
It was
in
waiting.
there. It was waiting, but it was waiting for her to blend all those pieces into one and say, okay, now we got you. Now you're good. And now look at it. It was amazing. I'm like, oh my God. I said, I have to share that. Well, I said, can I? And she said, yeah. I said, because we're talking about how hard it is to explain to people the difference between asking and receiving. Because most people are like, well, isn't the universe, don't they need me to ask? No, we're pretty clear about what we want.
Yeah. I have that with a lot of my clients as well. Very similar, being unhappy in the current job position, um, and knowing that there's something more out there for them, and knowing that they're ready to serve, but not really sure how to get there.
Mhm,
But not really still focusing, like you said, on that current job situation and bringing what you're learning to take out there, bring that into what you're currently doing to raise your vibration in that state of being. And
mhm,
that is when the doors for other opportunity, you notice I went like this because that's when
mhm.
all the other opportunities are going to fly in for you.
Absolutely.
So it's about, what are you learning now? What are you doing in your spiritual development, your personal development, and how are you bringing that to the table? It doesn't
Right,
matter where you sit down to eat, but
right.
if you bring it all to the table of now, where you're at, that is when the new opportunities are going to arise because you're rising.
Mhm.
And that is how we open ourselves up to receive.
Absolutely. And plus, a lot of times we're looking at only one perspective or one, we look at a job as the job, right? We forget all the other aspects of pivot.
I
Mhm.
had to throw that up there.
Yes,
Sorry, I didn't mean to
absolutely.
interrupt.
No,
Changing
absolutely.
all the other aspects, go ahead.
Well, yeah, because we'll look at just the job that we're doing or
Right.
the parameters of what's set up or our boss or what was said to us in a meeting or like we just look at that piece of it. And by pivoting, and it's the truth, our perspective of maybe this has nothing, and most of the time has nothing to do with the job. It has to do with our
Mhm.
interaction with people. It has to do with how personally we take things. It has to, whatever, I'm just naming things from my own personal life of places that I learn all the time in my job that has nothing to do with being a teacher. Nothing.
Well, and
Right.
for me, I know in situations like that, it has a lot to do with the fact that this is not really what I wanna be doing right now.
Right. Right.
So I'm
Right.
in that state of being until I'm like, "You know what? This is where you are. Make
Hmm.
the best of it."
Hmm.
And how can we do that?
Right.
Find
Exactly.
find the lessons, find the learning, find the joy.
It may be one brief conversation that you have with someone the entire day. And if you're not aware, like we talked about going back, rewinding a little bit, if we're not in the awareness mode, then we're going to miss that great conversation. It happens to me. I may not be having a great day. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, that was the best interaction. 30-second interaction. Guess what? Life doesn't know time.
No,
We focus on time as being like, I spent 8 hours at job, and we missed the 30-second conversation that was bigger than the 8 hours we spent at that job, right?
yeah.
That's the issue too. We get hung up on hours, minutes, time, and what's happening, and we miss those minuscule, but they're not. They are the everything.
Those
Those
minuscules are the
conversations,
big moments. That's
they
where the
are.
big magic happens.
Absolutely. And we just skip over them. I told you this. We do an exercise in the beginning of my school year every day, every year, where I started a couple of years ago, where I have the kids have a piece of paper and there's a tiny little black dot in the middle, tiny, tiny little dot. And I make them write a paragraph of what's coming up. I tell them it's a quiz grade, and they flip out about that. They're like, so they actually write, right? And they all inevitably, except last year or 2 years ago, I had one kid, they write about all that white space, right? I mean, I'm not all black, sorry, the opposite, that little black dot, not the white space, which is the most amount, right?
Right.
They
Mm.
write about that black dot, about how big it is and what it looks like, and they compare it to something, right? And some of them make really creative stories. But my goal with them is, what did you focus on? You had this huge piece of white paper with this dime-sized black dot, and that's what you focused on, right? And we do that, and we miss those really, really important pieces that are scattered in that white, that
I
are
love
scared.
that lesson.
Yeah, it's
I love that
big.
lesson. You know what it reminds me of is, when my kids played ball and my husband was the coach for both of them. There might be Derek might have had, 2 home runs, a triple, a double, but the last at bat he struck out, right? And he would focus on that strikeout. And it's like,
Mhm,
"You guys won the game. You had a great game.
mhm,
Let's focus on all that white space,
mhm.
not that dot in the
Not that
middle."
dot,
I
right?
love that, Jen. That's brilliant.
It's well, I don't know where it came from. I honestly don't remember,
But it's
but it
true, that's how we go through life. I do it every
eh,
day,
well, our kids have done
but
that.
I
I'm
catch
sure when
myself.
they come home, like, I can remember my kids coming home, "How was your day?" And they could have had the best day, but if someone made fun of them or something
Yep,
happened, or they dropped their books and they were embarrassed, and people, that's what, but we do the same thing, right? We do that same thing. We go to that default, and if we could go into that white space, then what are we missing in that awareness, those conversations? I've had the best little conversations on the way out of school with a custodian, or, like, have a great day. It's gorgeous out there. I'm like, thanks. Those are
yeah.
not unimportant. Those are everything. The
Those are the
other
moments that
stuff.
allow you to shift out of that
Yes.
mindset.
Yes.
Those are the breadcrumbs. Those are the seeds that are being planted for you from spirit. You might take it as idle conversation, but really
Hmm.
it's the opportunity for you to see differently. Get out of your head, get into
Hmm.
the white space.
And we say we don't, like, that's perfect again, in that we think, I don't know if that we say it, we don't receive. Right? I asked for a better day, right? How many times yesterday was a horrible day. I asked for a better day. It was just the same repeat as yesterday. Same people, same issues in my inbox, same blah, blah, blah. But did you hear the conversation? Were you online at Dunkin' Donuts and aware of this beautiful interaction, which has happened to me, between two people in front of you? Were you aware? It may not actually be to you, but is it in your, and are you open to that? Did you take the blinders off to see the beauty around you that has nothing to do with your job or your all the whatever? Are you in receiving mode?
Yeah,
Are you in receiving mode?
totally.
Yeah.
But not only are you in receiving mode, but what are you willing to do to get yourself there?
Mm.
You may ask for a better day, but what are you doing to create that better day?
And
It's
what are
in
you
your
willing to not
control.
block? Oh, absolutely. I don't know about you, but this was Ashlyn and I were just having this conversation. And I admitted to her that for a good part of my life and marriage, for a long time, probably maybe the last 10 years, I've shifted. I was a person who believed someone said something or did something, that's it, that's my day.
Yep.
My day is ruined, that's it. It could be
Yep.
7:30 in the morning,
Yep.
and I have decided, I admit this to her, that was my day. I said,
Your
I
day
am
is ruined.
so happy so blessed that I do not live that way any longer, but
Me
I had
too.
to
Me
work at it.
too.
I have to choose and
Yeah.
choose and choose, and sometimes in an hour I could choose 10 times, right? It doesn't mean that crap's not going down, right? But choose and choose and choose.
Choose
So what
how you're gonna get through it.
then you just that's what you were saying just now in that what are you doing? Sometimes it's unblocking ourselves. It's not a physical doing, it's a conversation.
When something like that happens that shifts, I usually end up now in the place of chuckling and looking up and going, "Okay, I see what you're doing.
Mhm.
You guys are quirky." Yeah.
Mhm. I
I
see
see
you're like,
what's
"I see
happening.
you. I know
Mhm.
what you're doing."
Yep.
You're like, "Nope, I'm moving that one. I know."
Yeah. Yeah. But it's yeah, I mean, we do create our own reality, and I know some people, might have a difficult time understanding that, but it all goes hand in hand. What are we asking for? What are we believing in? What is it we really want? But really the end game is really how am I going to feel? Right? If I get what I'm asking for, what's that feeling all about? And if I get what I'm asking for, am I really going to feel that way? Because if getting that new car is really not going to make you feel good, then getting the new car is really not what you should be asking for. So you might have to switch your ask,
Mhm.
and understanding where these thoughts and where these feelings and where these emotions are leading us, and what's the end game? What's the end result that you're really looking for? And it always comes down to a feeling. It
It's
always
so
comes down to a
so
feeling of
true
love.
because sometimes what we're asking for is also we have to also pay attention to this. What we're asking for is it's a misdirection. We're trying to avoid something that we need to be dealing with, whether it's whatever it is. Like we'll use food, we'll buy like shopping, right? Things like that. You know, when I get this car, I'm going to be so happy, right?
Mhm.
What is it that you need to be so happy about now? And if you are, and then that car is going to I just add to it because you're already there, then of course it's going to be in your life. It's meant to be in your life. But if you're looking for it to shift something, if we're pushing, I always see this like that pushing out versus pulling in. See that the
Mhm.
asking is I see this very visual grasping, right?
Mhm.
Versus receiving, like you're already set and solid. You got your feet planted. You're like, I'm in a good place. I would
Mhm.
really love this is going to make wherever I'm at even better and more. And I'm going to be, and here's the other thing. And I think someone wrote it earlier. I don't know where it went. And it had to do with it had to do with service. And it made me think of it. And that's what's
Oh,
coming
yeah, that
up.
was up at the top.
It's coming up now because um, okay, let me see. Now, a lot of the new awakening is about self and takes a lot of work to remove yourself from the narrative of service to others before self. Yeah, gets tricky. I saw it. We moved on. And this is where, if you want to say new age, which is really, this is not new. There's nothing new about any of what we're doing. But I love how they just people like to categorize and put words on things. New age is selfish. New age is about the self. New age is about not about anyone else. Well, here's the thing. If we remember that God is within us, our angels live among and within and around, we are one, then we are serving God. I'll use the word because that's how I interpret it. And that's what my belief is. This was hard for me because growing up Catholic, the belief was everything was out here.
Yeah.
Everything was out here. And so for me, it almost seemed sacrilegious to say God was within me because I couldn't imagine that I would be that important.
Right.
Really, that was something I've
Totally.
had to work through. And now I'm fine. It's taken me a couple of years, few years
Same.
to say he's created me, she, but there's neither, uh, and lives within me. Of course, how else would I be channeling and allowing him through, right? So I'm just
Right.
going to go with what I grew up with, which is he. We're gender neutral. Um, and when we recognize that we're serving God, which allows us to serve others, it's not about the human me, right? It's the God within me. And that's where people miss that really, really fine. I don't know, you're nodding, so I'm guessing you agree. But to me, that's
Totally.
what when they're saying you're being selfish, take care of yourself first. No, take care of the God with it. Because if you're in church, the way that they had always had taught us is that God comes first, before your family, before your loved ones, before yourself. So if we believe that, and I believe
And
and know
you
that He's
are
within
a part
me,
of God, right? That light within us, that is how we're all
absolutely.
connected. That is our gift from God. That is our likeness of
Yes.
God because God is light,
Yes.
right?
That's what I believe. And that's what took me a while because there was a disconnect. And I think that not judging people, but when they come at saying, the new age is very selfish, they're missing the point that we're talking about serving
Yeah.
God so that we can be of service to others. Put your oxygen mask on first.
Yeah. When you serve God, you're serving yourself. And when you serve yourself, you're serving others, whether you realize it or not. Serving
Absolutely.
others.
100%. 100%. And that's what's missed, I believe, many
Yeah.
people.
Oh, I forgot to take this down here.
That was a good one, though. I
That
saw
was
that
a good one.
earlier.
Thank you for that, Stacy. I did see it earlier too, and it just didn't,
It wasn't the right time, I think.
no, no, and that was, like, perfect.
I think the last thing with the service is that when I ask and say thank you, and when I ask and you ask, think about how it will always be woven in the service of others.
Yeah.
Because if you do, of course you're going to receive it.
Of course you're gonna receive it, and also, are your beliefs, are they matching up with your desires? Right?
Mhm.
Are they on the same wavelength of frequency to be received? Because if they're not, where does your frequency have to be to receive
Mhm.
it? Where is that disconnect? Right? Your wants and your needs are here and you might be here. So what do you need to do to get there? It comes back to serving yourself.
Mhm.
Look within. That is where you're going to find the greatest connection. And by looking within, what you're doing is you're opening yourself up to receive in a greater way instead of looking outside like we were taught. Yes, there's a beautiful frequency. Yes, there's all this beautiful white space, but there's also that white space inside of you that you're not paying attention to. So, what's in that white space? Ask yourself that question today. What's in that white space?
I'd love, suddenly when you ask that, I don't think my eighth graders are not at that point, but I'd love to. It would be a great, I shouldn't say that. I never like to limit that. What a great experience would it be for me to not just have an opening, but to bring that up throughout the year and have them fill in some of the white space with their day
Mm,
instead of that. Like they're allowed to put something on that black dot, something that happened, but then fill in that white space with some things too, to
yeah,
really
like
start
what
to
what
see,
came from that black dot?
yeah, what was the rest of your day? What was the rest of the day? Because they're guaranteed beautiful things happening in that white space
Yeah.
that we just go, oh, that's not as important. That's not as big. Because we love to, I always say there's a fine line between judgment and categorizing. And we categorize. That's what we do. Like this is good, this is bad, this is priority, this is late, right? Because we have to do that. That's just how we go in the very human dense day. But where does it become a categorizing to then judgment? It, it's so fine, right?
But judgment can also be good too. I think we don't realize that judgment, when we're using it as discernment.
Yeah. Well, that's more like like I'm gonna do
Yeah.
the that's where we just change the name of it. But yeah, that's why it's right there. That's why I mean it's such a fine line because we're so used to doing it all day long. I need to get this done and this done and this done. Okay, this is the chunk I'm gonna get to. That's normal,
Yeah.
right? We're categorizing what we're gonna do. This is first, this is second, this is third, right? We have to, otherwise we'd just be floating around. But then I think when we then say something is good or bad and judging it, from there, that's where we start to lose it.
Yeah. I agree. Let's see. Carla says,
Yeah.
I always say, let's start the day over, right? When you
I
stub
used
your
to say
toe.
that.
Yeah, let's begin again. But that old saying, your parents, at least my parents would always say, "Hey, maybe you need to go back to bed. Go back to bed and get
My
up
parents have
again."
said that.
Right? Like, they knew what they were like, they knew it, like, there were always all those little snippets going, growing up, and it was like now I look back, I'm like, They got it. They got it, and they were just teaching us in their own way, but
I think
yeah.
they just wanted us to leave the room.
Yeah, probably.
But the truth is, looking at Carla, actually what I do now is I don't need to start it over. I just start right from there.
Yeah.
It's like I put a period at the end of the sentence and I start a new sentence rather than because that's tiring to think about, oh my God, I have to start over again. I have to start, nope, can start right now.
Yeah.
New page, turn the page, new page right now. New page. I got a lot of pages in my book.
I got a lot of pages too. A lot of pages. Let's see. Stacy says, I am trying to teach the children that it is not outside yourself to create the joy, peace, happiness, love they seek. That the things they believe are missing in their lives are not found out there, but from within and their connection to themselves. Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that is beautiful. And that's exactly what we're talking about. As adults, we need to know this too. We need to believe this. And that circles us back to the beginning when we talked about it's not ask, believe, receive. It's believe, receive. I don't even think we need the ask because, like you said, that conversation is already happening. It's through the thoughts and the feelings and the
Right.
emotion that the asking is taking place.
Because I mean, we hear it in a lot of the books and law of attraction and the universe can't give you what you don't ask for. And I say that too, like you need to ask for more, but it's really you need to believe more because the asking isn't it, it's just there. It's an eight in what we are doing, in what we're choosing. But it's the believe, yeah. And what Stacy just said, how here's the key. This is why we're sitting here together. This is why Michelle and I are sitting here and anyone else is joining in. How do we teach our children that if we don't practice it and believe it and walk the talk? How can we shift the next generation? That's
My
why we
kids
have this
believe it.
conversation.
My kids live it. They
Mhm.
were living it. I was teaching it to them before I was fully believing it, and they believed it more so before I did. And it really allowed them to excel through school, through college. Now with their spouses and their kids, and they're teaching their kids, and yeah, it really this whole thing, it's nothing new. It's nothing new. It's about bringing the awareness to crafting a better life for yourself.
I know, I love how they say, like, new age. Really? What's the new age?
Yeah,
Because this has
it's
been
not
taught for
new.
eons. We just
It's about paying attention. It's about believing, and a lot of people, they say you you have to see it to believe it. But if you believe it, you'll see it.
well, look, you just said something really, really powerful, which is true. And I'm talking about this in the healing group, that the 6-month healing group, that you don't have to be fully healed to heal others and to be present, right? You have to not be, a puddle on the floor, but you don't have to, none of us are ever fully healed. Like we'll
No.
heal things, right? And so you just said it, you were already, and that was true for me too. I was already stepping into something I didn't fully know how to believe. I didn't know, but I knew that there was a peace, there was
I
a
moved
faith.
with it.
I went with it
Mhm,
anyway, and then our children who we called in
mhm.
were much more open, and we shifted them, which then shifted us.
Absolutely.
So no need to be 100%. Like if there's people listening and they're like, well, I kind of, but I'm not 100% there. Go with the kinda.
Here's the analogy I use a lot with my clients on that, right? When we get onto an airplane, we don't know how it works.
Mm,
We just trust that when we get on that plane, it's going to go up in the air, it's going to take us to where we want to go, and we're going to land safely. It's the same way with working with spirit. We don't
mhm,
have to know all the terminology. We don't have to know how it works. But if we trust that when we get on that plane, that when we get on that frequency to fly, right? It's going to take us to where we want to go, and we're going to
mhm.
land safely if you fully trust.
So true.
So just trust.
Mhm.
Begin right now. Put a period at the end of that sentence and begin right now where you are. There's no need to go back. There's no need to doubt. Just where are you now? And right now is your best moment. Right now is your best. You're showing up as your best, whatever that is. And as we show up as our best, each time we show up, we can show up better and better and better. Even if it's not as good as it was yesterday, it's still better. Believe that.
Oh my gosh, that's my favorite. That's 4 agreements. Like, it's the best. I used to be very judgmental on myself of like, I did so much better yesterday, or I did like, and talk about shame and guilt, and I was comparing myself. And that's a beautiful one of the agreements is, doing the best that you can, which is not the same every
I've never
hour.
read that. I
Oh,
know. I
you,
haven't. I've
I don't
just
mean it
never.
like that. I mean, like, you're gonna, like, when you look at that, it's so simple,
Yeah.
but it is so, I'm able to go back to those all the time in my head. I'm so appreciative that he wrote it so that I can look at it in my head and it makes so much sense in a conversation or myself. Um, and that's what it is. It's always doing your best. Well, your best when I have a migraine is not my best when I'm, fully out of this wonderful meditation. But my best, when I've had an argument with my husband or my children is not the best. It's always going to be my best, but it's
Mhm.
be accepting that and stop comparing it
And judging
and
yourself.
judging myself. And that will get you, like you said, in that airstream, in that frequency, so much faster than sitting in there and brewing in it and comparing yourself and what I shouldn't have done, right? How many people here do that? So
Mm.
that's the best. Always living your best and acknowledging it. This is the best I can do right now. And it's good enough.
And celebrate that.
Hmm.
Because what happens when we celebrate? We raise our energy vibration, and now we've created more momentum to get us to where we want to go.
Hmm.
So celebrate where you are right now, even if it's rock bottom.
Because
Let
it's the
me tell
best.
you, rock bottom is one of the best places to be. And if you can see the beauty in hitting that rock bottom, because you're going to rise. And when you rise, you're going to come out in a whole new way. And you're going to see things in a new, beautiful way that are going to allow you to expand and evolve. I just thought about your cards as I said that.
Like, oh, thank you.
Speaking
It,
of, evolve, emerge, expand.
evolve,
One of
emerge,
Jen's
expand.
beautiful Oracle card deck. There you go. That was
Thank
our
you. That
commercial
was a
break.
beautiful plug. It's so true though, because that you just said something really, really, I mean, not that we don't say important things, but we spend so much time trying to avoid failure and trying to avoid pain and trying to avoid rock bottom that we miss what it brings us. Like we were not created. We chose this life to just walk. I love light. I love euphoria. But we came here with contrast. And you think about yourself after a really long, really hard cry, right? How much is released from that? And then
Mm.
you're in this quiet space that you feel very humble and very, in some ways, open, right? Because you were no longer trying to close yourself off to make everything work out. And you're like, okay, whatever. Like, whatever. It
Whatever.
can't hurt, right? It can't hurt anymore because I already hit that. Yeah, you're right. So now guess what? You're in receiving mode.
But bump.
Hmm.
And honestly, that's the perfect way to end, right? It really is. Um, so obviously I was called to pick a card, and card number 21 came out, which 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 is my power number, but 3 is a very powerful number for everybody. But it says, as you think of your light energy vibration strengthens and rises.
Oh, it's so pretty. It looks like Hawaii. Like, it looks
It
like
does look very
flowers. And
Hawaiian, right? Because there's a beautiful
yeah.
tropical bird, there's mountains, there's the ocean, there's a ship in the far distance. It's about sailing, it's about gliding. Oh, stop. Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
How do you think you're so darn close? I think my was further away.
Yeah. This one is rest yourself. Do not fight the current. Put down your oars and float along life's surface. You said ship. I was like,
I
Jesus.
said ship, and I was talking about gliding too, and it was
Yeah,
just they just go hand in hand. Look at that.
yeah, they do. I know.
There
I
we
don't
go.
know where it's
There we
going.
go. I know.
But that's how we receive, by stop fighting
Yeah.
and knowing.
And
But
fly.
I think it's time to rewrite, and we start with believe. And believing puts us in a receiving mode.
It puts us in the receiving mode, and the way we fly is we first love ourselves, right? First love you, fly. That's how we fly.
Mhm.
You hear me use it all the time. Come fly with me. Hey, it's time to fly. Hey, let's go. Let me tell you, when you are flying, when you are in that receiving mode on a consistent basis, you actually feel like you're floating through life.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's incredible. And that brings us full circle in the beginning when my husband and I say, God, please don't pinch me because I don't
Love
want to
that.
wake up right now,
I love it.
because life is so amazing because we
Yes,
make
it
it
is.
amazing.
We do. We
So,
do. You do. Like, so that's why we do. You
yes.
do.
And that's what we're here for. We're here to help guide you guys and to have this conversation together as a collective, to support one another and to be there for one another. Am I always floating? Hell no, you know?
And sometimes swimming through very mucky
Going
waters.
through the muck. Yep. Or the sludge.
Yeah. Listen, I've got sludge.
I
I
know
am
you've got sludge,
sludge.
sludge sister. But we pick each other up. We pick each other up. We share our stories. We see ourselves in other stories. We see how somebody else picks themselves up from another story. And we're like,
Mhm.
heck, I can do that. I can pick myself back up again. I can make this great again. You have that power. And that's what the power number 3 is about, empowerment. Empower yourself.
Mm.
Which actually is my YouTube thing. Is the card I picked was you have oh, I don't even remember. Something, it was something about empower,
There we
but
go. It was empowered. That's all you needed to remember.
yeah,
That's all it is
empower.
that we are empowered. We have the power.
Yeah.
Makes me want to sing. I don't know. There was that song in the 90s. We've got the power. Don't ask me to sing, but it is the truth, though. It is the truth. That's a
It
sign for
is.
power. So it is.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So thank you guys all so much
Yes.
for joining us this week.
And
This was a
Stacy says thank you too. So we're saying thank you right back. So thank you for that beautiful energy.
yeah, sure. Let's see. Let me put
It's
that up there.
beautiful.
It's a nice message. Another incredible discussion. Love the insight and deep dive into self. Blessings and belief to all of us this month. Right back at you, Stacy.
Yes, Music
Um,
Factory. I see it.
Sending the love to the truth of self with each of us. Absolutely.
Stacy's on it. She's on my song, like even though she didn't want me to sing it. That's it. I'm like,
I
it's
never
something
would have known
music.
that.
Oh, I did. It was like something Music Factory, but I couldn't remember it. So yeah,
That's awesome. I
you
love
know the
it.
song. I have to put it. I'll have to put it on my page afterwards, just because.
I love it. I love you, Jen,
I love
and
you too.
I appreciate you being here with
Oh,
me
I appreciate you being here with me. So thank you, and all of you. Thank
and
you for
all of
joining
you.
us.
But I don't
Yeah,
think I've ever said I appreciated doing this together, like
thank you.
publicly, maybe
Yes,
privately, but um,
but I feel the same.
I do. I love being able to share our insight together. It really just creates a beautiful vibe. A beautiful vibration. My
You can
my my
swim the
lips were
stream.
vibrating so much I couldn't spit the words out.
And we're proof of how important it is for all of us to make sure that we pull in people in our circles that we can share this with, because people will look at us sometimes like we're crazy, like, oh, you're just Pollyanna, oh, you're just making everything. No, I got sludge. Like, there's sludge. There's like, it's real life. But okay, what am I going to do with it? What's next?
Yeah,
What's next? And how do we, because I want to be happy. I choose to be happy.
yeah. I like
So
happy better.
yeah, thank you for choosing that with us.
Yeah.
Have
Thank
a
you.
beautiful Sunday.
Yeah. Happy August,
Happy
everybody.
August. Yeah, happy August.
Okay. See you guys soon.